I really need to turn my fan off. Okay guys, what's up guys, it's Kiana and welcome back to my corner. Today I'm hitting you guys with my natural hair. It's a little crazy, but I'm trying to have my natural hair because I rarely ever straighten or curl it. I always wear it like in a ponytail for work. I feel like I always wear it in like a terrible ugly bun for my videos or like a terrible ugly side ponytail. So just today I decided to do my natural. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. Let's get into the point. Okay, so today's video, as you probably see by the title, and I said it in my last video, I'm going to be doing some common misconceptions about cystic fibrosis. Because if you haven't been keeping up on my channel, or if this is your first video, May is Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month. No, I do not have CF, but I had two best friends with it. One of them passed in January, and this month is more important to me this year than any year ever, and that's my story. I'm going to be sharing some common misconceptions. Some of these people actually think. Now, if this is something that you have thought, do not feel stupid. This is why I'm here today, is to educate you and tell you that that was a misconception and it's not real. It's not true, or if there is some truth to it. So let's just get into it. So I just have a few here, not a ton. Luckily, there are a lot of misconceptions, but at the same time, a lot of them are small and they're not really huge misconceptions. I try to choose the most basic ones that people really usually think are true or want to know. It's almost like another Q&A, but this is not a Q&A because I'm not answering your questions. I'm clearing the air on some things people think are true about CF. My mom's right outside the window doing gardening, so if you hear any noises, that's her. So the first misconception is CF is contagious. Now I kind of explained this in my Q&A video, but I like to explain it as much as I can because so many people think it's contagious and I really don't know how. But CF is not contagious, nowhere near contagious. Now, the only way it's contagious, and you cannot get CF if you don't have CF. If two cystics are around each other, they can pass a deadly bacteria. So in a way, it's kind of contagious to each other, but it's not contagious to somebody totally without CF. So if I hang out around my friend with CF, I'm not going to catch it. It's not a cold and it's not the flu. Nowhere even close to that. So, but yeah, it's kind of contagious around other cystics. If two cystics are around each other and they can pass like a bacteria that can kill both of them, that's, I guess, considered contagious. I don't know. But it is not contagious, so you don't have to worry. So the next common misconception is you can get CF like any time in your life, like it's cancer, like you can just find out like when you're 20 that you have CF. No, usually CF is found within your first year of life, because it is something you're born with and you can't just randomly wake up with it one day. You might wake up with the symptoms, but that is definitely not CF. You will usually get diagnosed with this in your first year of life, and you don't just wake up and go, oh, I think I have CF. Like, that's not how it works. So if you woke up today thinking you had CF, that's not an accurate assumption. That is a misconception. You cannot just get CF at any point in your life. So glad we cleared that one up. The next misconception is the one I get a lot, or that cystics get a lot, is that CF only affects the lungs. Now, the only reason people only focus on the lungs, it's because it's the one that's the most detrimental to a cystic, is because it affects their breathing. But CF pretty much affects every single part of the body. Like, let's just face it, it affects pretty much everything in the body. The pancreas, the digestive system, the lungs, the heart, reproductive system. There's so much thick, sticky mucus around every organ and every system in the body. That's why it's so fatal. So it doesn't only affect the lungs. The heart is affected because the lungs are working so extra hard. The digestive system is affected, and the reproductive system is affected because there's so much mucus around the reproductive system. It's really hard for a cystic to give birth or to try and conceive. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. The next one is there is a cure. Some people think there's a cure. It's not really a common misconception, but I threw it in here anyway because I feel like it's important to talk about. There is no cure for CF. Some people think that there is, but there really is no cure. There are treatments, several treatments that sometimes work and sometimes don't work. Depends on what point you are in your disease, what stages you are in your disease, but there is no cure, unfortunately, and I really wish there was, because there's so many, like, I don't know, because CF gets no government funding, and I feel like that sucks. Okay, the next conception. Next common misconception, which a lot of people think this, is that transplant is a cure. Specifically, people think if you get a lung transplant, since that's the most common transplant with cystics, they think that if you're a cystic and you're getting a transplant that you're cured. That is actually the complete opposite, because if you're getting a transplant, you're kind of swapping one disease for another, because when you get a transplant, you have to take even more medication so it doesn't reject, so your body doesn't reject your new organs. You just go through so much more on top of CF, because like we said before, CF does not only affect the lungs. So just because you get a lung transplant does not mean you're cured. It can buy you some time in life, and it can relieve a lot of breathing issues, but you are not cured if you get a lung transplant for CF. So that is a very big misconception. It's like one of the number one misconceptions is that if you get a transplant that you're cured. And I wish it was that easy, but it's not. Okay, and the last conception is you have to be like in a wheelchair, or you have to be disabled, so to speak, or you can't have any physical activity with CF. Some people think that because the breathing is hard with CF that you can't do anything with CF, but if I've learned anything by watching my friends with CF, their doctors recommend you to work out, to strengthen your lungs, because if you think about it, even if as a person without CF, if you don't do any type of physical activity, you're gonna like deteriorate in your health. Like there needs to be some type of physical activity in your life. And with cystics, it's actually a good idea to have physical activity and to not be disabled, because unless you really have to be, because like you're on oxygen or something, which really, I don't know anybody. My friend Aaliyah, she doesn't have to be in a wheelchair or anything. My mom's waving up. She doesn't have to be in a wheelchair or anything with CF, but she does have oxygen, and sometimes when she goes to the store, she like rides in the scooter just to relieve herself, but she doesn't have to do that. So you don't have to be like summoned to a wheelchair or something. And physical activity is usually encouraged with CF to strengthen yourself and strengthen your lungs and things like that. So that's a misconception too, is that you have to like never do anything physical activity. My friends and their older sister did cheer, they did hip hop, and that stuff is hard. Like if you know anything about dancing, it is hard. Like your breathing has to be a certain way in dancing. So I don't know how they did that, because they did it perfectly. They didn't let it like wear them down when they were dancers, because you know, like you would think that they would be like a weak link in there, but they were not. They were just as good as all the people who did not have CF, and I'm always proud of them for that, because they always look like they're gonna pass out when they got off the stage, but they never did. So you do not have to be in a wheelchair with CF. I mean, there might be a point for some people that have to, because like I said, I don't have CF, so I don't really know that for a fact, but I know that my friend Aaliyah sometimes chooses to go in a scooter or a wheelchair, but she doesn't have to. So physical activity is encouraged. Lung transplant is not a cure. There is no cure. CF does not only affect the lungs. I'm trying to remember what all I talked about. Definitely not contagious, and you cannot just wake up and get it. You're born with it. So if you have any more questions, or if you are a cystic and there's some conceptions I missed, and you can put them in the comments below. But if you have any questions, I want to do another Q&A before the end of the month, so make sure you are leaving your questions down below and letting me know if you have any questions. No, only stupid question is a question that's not answered. I will not be offended if you ask a question that's like obvious or stupid, because I feel like there's no such thing as a stupid question unless I've already answered the question and you ask me that question again. But no, ask your questions, don't be scared, I don't judge. Without further ado, I will see you guys next time on my corner. For today's video, I'd like you guys to comment a heart down on this video and all the CF videos. Comment a purple heart, or just comment hashtag CF sucks and hashtag CF awareness month. because I want to just keep spreading awareness and spreading the word that CF needs to stand for Cure Found. Also, go check out Salt Sisters channel. I'll link that below. And without further ado, peace out. See you next time.